Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at day 11 out of 12 of our 4th grade math review. As always, we are using our 2017 STAR release test from the state of Texas. Today we only have 2 problems, but they'll take us a little bit because we're looking at data analysis. So here we have 2 different data representations here. So up on the top, this is called a frequency table. And all it does is it just lists out the different options. So in this case, we've got number of cars and how far they go. And so we have them kind of clumped together. So one car, you have to kind of read up and down. One car went half a foot. 2 cars went 1 foot. No cars went 1.5. 4 cars went 2 feet, and so on and so forth. Sometimes they're horizontal like that, and you read them up and down. Sometimes they're more vertical and you roll them and you read them horizontally. What we need to do though is we need to match that to a dot plot. We've got 4 dot plot representations at the bottom here, and those are all going to look like a number line. So you notice how they all have arrows on either side of them to show that they continue. And the number line, and they're going from 0 to 4 in all 4 cases. But you notice that they have little dots up on top of them. So these dots are supposed to represent the frequency of each of these measurements here. So like for this one has just one little dot on the very first dot, an A, that represents 1. The 2 dots right there represent 2, and so on and so forth. So really, counting the dots is not that difficult. What's going to be the trick for us is trying to find these measurements, because the whole numbers are labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4, but the halves are not. And if you notice, our number line is not necessarily cut into halves, it's actually cut into fourths. And so what we need to do is we need to find the midpoint between 0 and 1. It's actually going to be, 1/2 is going to be right there, which is actually 2/4, but we're going to go ahead and call it 1/2. So that's our 1/2, and I'm just going to draw a line here underneath the 1.5. I'm going to draw a line here under the 2.5 and draw a line here under the 3.5. So once we have that, we can start evaluating, is this the correct answer A? So this one says we've got 1.5. That is a check. It says we've got 2 in the 1. That is also a check. So we're good so far. This is 1.5 right here, this third one. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the 1.5. But look at this. This one says it's got 0 in the 1.5. So that is not going to work for us. B, I can already tell you, is not going to work for us, because take a look. They've clumped everything underneath the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. That makes it a lot easier to count. I'm not trying to guess where the halves are, but it's missing information from all the halves. 1/2, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5. All that information is missing. So B is not going to work either. So let's see. That is my half right there. That is 1.5. This is 2.5, and this is 3.5. It's halfway between the 2 whole numbers. And you notice my dots, these dots look okay, but this dot is actually on the 1/4. So that's not even represented up there. And this line right here, this really tall one, is actually 2 and 1/4. Once again, not represented in the frequency table. This line right here is 3 and 1/4. So those just have the dots in the wrong spots. So let's hope it's D. So I've got my 1/2 right there. There's my 1.5, my 2.5, and my 3.5. And so I've got 1/2, that is correct. I've got 2 at the 1, correct. I don't have anything at the 1.5, that is also correct. I have got 4 at the 2, that is correct. 7 at the 2.5, that is also correct. So it looks like this is going to be it. 1 at the 3, I've got 2 at the 3.5, and then 1 at the 4. So that is going to be answer D, and that is how we evaluate our dot plots in relation to the frequency table. First, you have to mark each number line to make sure you know where the halves are. If it's broken up in half, sometimes it could be decimals, and then just match the numbers carefully. This is something that is new to 4th grade. These are called stem and leaf plots, which is kind of a strange name for them. But it's just another way for us to find information. You see we have another frequency table right here. So we have all of these baseball teams. And they're just represented by letters. So we have team R through team X. And the total number of runs looks like it just goes from 61 to 100, but they're not necessarily in order, so they go up and down. It's not categorized in order. The biggest thing that we need to look at on any of these stem and leaf plots is right there, and that's our key. So when it says 6 and then the line and then the 1, the left side is called the stem and the right side is called the leaf, and it's separated by that big line. So that's why we call it a stem and leaf plot. So when this equals 61, well, that means the stem is acting like the tens place in place value, and the 1 is acting like the ones place in place value. So we could just look at these as your tens and your ones. Tens and your ones. And that's easy. Sometimes it's as easy as that. Sometimes it won't necessarily work that easy, especially if you're looking at fractions or decimals. But in this case, the key tells us that the stem is acting like our tens. So now we just need to match up the numbers. So this right here, I'm going to go ahead and write this off to the side. So this, that equals 61. It equals 92. I've got a 10 in the tens. That's fine. So that's just 100. And that's 65. 72, 64, and 84. So it looks like it has all of our numbers, and it is incorrect. It is incorrect because you don't repeat stems. So I've got a 6 here and a 6 here. We only write a 6 once in the stem, and a 6 here. And so we're not repeating them, and we put them in order. So let's take a look at B. B looks a little bit better. At least it has the stem in order, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, when I've got a 6 right here and then a 1, 4, 5, these 3 leaves represent 3 different numbers. Each time you need to put the stem in front. So really what we're looking at here is this is going to be 61, and then 64, and then 65. That's how you represent 3 different numbers in the stem and leaf plot. So let's see, 61, 64, and 65. That looks good. And this has just got 72. The rest of these are just singular. 72, 84, 92, and 100. So this looks like, B looks like it's pretty good. That might be our answer. Let's double check here. I've got this, at least everything is in order. I've got 61, 64, and 65. So that's good. I've got my 72, that's good. I've got my 84. Wow, everything almost looks like it works, except, look. The stem of 10, but we need the leaf of 0. So that means that's very, very close, and it's not going to work. At least D does what A did. They list everything separately. At least they put the 6s in order. Well, they didn't put the leaves in order. But still, you're not going to repeat the stems. So our answer is going to be B. And so that is it for day 11. We only have one more day left, day 12, and we'll be finished reviewing all of 4th grade mathematics. If you would like to check it out, go to my website, aarondaffern.com.